Hi, this is Bent TV and you're watching The Film Whisperers, a show where two movie nerds talk all things film through a contemporary lens. I'm Matthew.
And I'm Saj.
Okay, Saj, so we've been talking about the films of 2020 that shaped our 2020, obviously being mostly at home. We looked at the good stuff, the bad stuff, and now I thought it might be worth talking a little bit about the films that have just kind of left you feeling like WTF, like what were like something surprising or a bit weird, a bit out there, something that maybe you wouldn't have watched otherwise and you saw it and you're like, oh, this actually surprised me in a good or a bad way. Yeah. Does something come to mind when I say WTF when it comes to movies in 2020?
Yeah, for me it does. Do you have one?
I've got a couple that were a bit weird. I think I do. But you go first.
Cool.
Yeah.
So for me, it would be Borat subsequent movie film.
Yeah.
Now, the first Borat came out in I think 2003
That's
or
like
4. It's
ago,
a long time ago, and for its time it was controversial. And I remember finding out that the sequel was going to be done. And Sacha Baron Cohen, he's got talent, and some of his stuff, like the stuff that he's done on TV, I absolutely love. I just didn't think Borat just didn't need to be done. However, I watched it and I freaking loved it. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Of course, there are times, and I do this, I just decide to take off all my activist hats and just enjoy film for what it is.
Yeah.
And this is in no way a feminist or anything. It's just it's about a guy that plays his character, and in this film what he's trying to do is just bring awareness on how awful America is, like what he did with the first Borat.
Yeah.
And he manages to infiltrate some really powerful moments. I'm sure you would have heard about the Rudy Giuliani interview. So, it was quite shocking, eye-opening, and outrageous.
Do you know, or like, is it common knowledge? So like, I do know about that one.
Yeah.
So like, obviously throughout the movie, there's all these different kind of like stunts, right?
Yes.
Are they all like genuinely real? Like
apparently,
like no one knew about it.
No one knew about it.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're watching it, and like for example, it's not a film I would recommend to a lot of people because you need to be in that headspace to appreciate that sort of thing because it is so shocking and I won't call it cringeworthy, but you're just looking at the screen and going, they did not do that,
Wow, yeah.
But he really wants to push the buttons, and he just really wants to take it that one step further, and he's always done that.
I saw a lot of people saying, not a lot of people, I've seen a few people saying, and maybe you can tell me if this is a stretch, but that the young woman in the film's not obviously Sacha Baron Cohen, but the young woman in the film, that she's actually quite good and that she should get some like recognition. I mean, that too far?
Look, no. She is really good. It's just like how you were talking about horror and the lack of accolades that it gets. For sometimes with comedy, I feel like it's the same thing to a certain extent. And her character was great. I mean, it's probably just my conscious bias coming out where I'm never really, I would never really kind of award or recognize a comedic performance as Oscar worthy.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man, that's just me. But she was good.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's Oscar worthy, but
I'm always just so cynical actually because I watch them and I'm like, are these people real people? Like, do they know that? Like, what I'm saying is like, it just looks so like real that I'm like, oh, surely this is staged or a bit set up. But like, apparently it's like real. Yeah.
So that to me was a movie that I didn't expect to like, and I bloody loved it.
Wow,
I thought it was so funny. It was just, it was outrageous. But anyway, enough about that. What about you?
I think probably my most WTF movie, because it's just a really strange movie, but I did really enjoy it. It was a movie called Possessor. So
is this another horror?
It's kind of more sci-fi. Like, no, it's not. It's like it's got a bit of violence in it. So I guess it's kind of a bit. Okay. It's not really scary. I think it's more like sci-fi. But it's directed by Brandon Cronenberg, whose dad is David Cronenberg, who's like a famous like body horror director, and so obviously he's got big shoes to fill. And I think he's actually filling them quite nicely with this. Like he.
So what is it about? Yeah.
It's basically set in like some kind of future society where there's technology available that can implant like your consciousness into someone else's brain. So like, for example, my mind, like my thoughts, like my consciousness could be put into your head.
And I'll start liking horror.
And you don't have control over your body anymore, and it's like me controlling your body. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so what the film's about is about this like group of assassins, and they use this technology to kill people without having any kind of like blood on their hands, so to speak.
Right.
So like, for example, like someone says, I want you to kill this like influential figure. They'll put I'm the assassin, but they'll put my consciousness in your head so that your body is the one that's carrying it out.
Yeah.
So that and then they, you know, kill the body afterwards so that no one gets, you know, arrested or whatever. It's like, yeah, it's quite cerebral. It's like I just thought it was really, really good. It's got Christopher Abbott, who was in Girls and like
Oh,
some
yes.
other things.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I know that is.
It's just like a really, really good film. Like it's interesting concept. There's some interesting layers to it, and also the actual visual stuff. So like the sci-fi and like the body horror parts of it, and it's just really well done. I really, really, really loved it. I've actually probably watched it like 3 times now.
Wow.
Like I really, really enjoyed it.
Right. Okay.
I just thought like it was different. It was unique. I mean, we were talking a bit earlier in terms of the bad films about how there's just the same kind of stuff you see all the time. And for me, this felt very fresh. Like it felt like a completely different story, like something new. And, you know, Christopher Abbott was good. The woman who played kind of the central character, who was the assassin, like getting put into Christopher Abbott's head, she was amazing. Yeah, I just thought it was really, really great. I'm very excited to see what that director does next because, yeah, obviously he's following in like very big footsteps that his father kind of had. But yeah, this is a really great start.
Right. Okay. So what else has he done?
He did one film before this called, I think it was called Antiviral, which I haven't seen. And I think it got okay reviews. But for me, like, this is just great. Like, this is a really great, like, statement movie where it shows, like, he's got a really clear vision as a director and a writer. And, yeah, I took my partner to go and watch it. And he's not a big on kind of violent movies, so he didn't love it.
Is it violent?
It's got quite a bit of violence. I should actually say it as a trigger warning. So if you're not a fan of, like, a lot of violence, maybe don't watch it. But, yeah, it's just really, really well done. And it's quite emotional, surprisingly, towards the end. Yeah, I bet it's a very strange movie. Like, it's unexpected, very surprising. So I think you might like love it or hate it. I loved it, but yeah. I can
So Possessor. Yep. And Borat subsequent movie film.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So that's all the time we have for today's Film Whisperers. You're watching Ben TV. Thank you very much.